This is the City Council workshop for March 15th, 2022. And I was waiting for the record to start. It is really nice and lovely seeing everybody's bright and shiny faces. All right, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Mayor McCullough?
I'm here.
Deputy Mayor Carter?
Here.
Councilmember Baldwin?
Here.
Councilmember Evans?
Here and in route.
Councilmember Fullerton?
Here.
Councilmember McClendon?
Here.
Councilmember Swatman? And Councilmember Watson?
Here. Okay, we are moving on to the agenda items, and we will start with the Bonney Lake Food Bank. Ms. Cernich, I need to warn you that our capacity is only 40 million words. So if you could keep it down, just knowing you, I know what the. But come on up to the.
Okay, cool. Hi, everybody. Hello. Thank you for having me. I first wanted to, I have a posse here tonight. I wanted to introduce some circles. I first, from the back row here, I will recognize our staff. This is Tiffany, stand up, Tiffany. I'm fearless director of operations that started 3 days, which was 3 days after I started my job. We still had 7 more days before the pandemic started. And we thought the biggest task at hand was to clean that joint up. Turns out it wasn't. We had the right gal for the job. And then I have Karen Sire here, who's our newest hire. But most importantly, this past week became an American citizen.
Yay!
So I still call her my favorite kid. She works so hard. But apparently, she's waited 15 years to become an American citizen, and there was no pomp and circumstance whatsoever. So I thought this might be a nice opportunity for. I have David. I just got done telling a story. David just turned 80 yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
And helped us work move our house. He's from the old regime and a significant market and worked on his birthday, on his 80th birthday, and then worked today in the warehouse. We have Patrick, who I'll tell you a little bit more about, our resident farmer. Jen Snisham, our board president. We call each other the Wonder Twins. Todd Allen, who has been an incredible resource for us, has 30 years of nonprofit resource, and we couldn't do what we do without him. And then Dave Morrell, president of the fan club that is Meat Market.
I'm sorry, who's Dave?
And integral in
Dave, probably said myself.
You sure did. You were talking about garbage. Okay, so we're all queued up. Looks like. Thank you for the opportunity, Mayor and council members, to update you on the evolution of the growing and changing Bonney Lake Food Bank and our primary project, which is the market. I am talking about it as the future of regional food security because I believe that it is. I think we have stumbled upon something that's quite significant, and as the model continues to grow and evolve, I think even greater things are down the pipeline. Oh, I can do this, can't I? Do I hit present on this, or do I just go screen by screen?
You can hit full view, go down the bottom.
I think my mouse is not working.
Either tab or something.
Oh, I see the.
Yeah, what about a mouse pad?
Yeah, cool.
To the den house.
We kind of like that in the food business. That
I
makes
know the worst case.
So on our agenda to discuss with you an update on the evolution of our project, health market, a glimpse at our innovative programs, present and future, our impact within the local economy. This is something very exciting about, both directly and indirectly. And then how the city can be part of our sustainability and future game-changing pilot program. I like putting up a retro picture just so we kind of remember. It keeps us all humble. The legacy Bonney Lake Food Bank right there. And where we're at, this was in where we're at now, our beloved market. Legacy. A much better shopping experience. I understand. Dignity, equity, access, and community. These are, the filtration system that I run every single thing through. That everybody that works for us, from the top down, this is our filter. We believe that the market puts dignity, equity, and access in motion for all to experience, and is a proof of concept that this model can not only be successful, but change how a community views food security and our community members receiving food resources. Changing how we see it is kind of what the market has done successfully, and I'm excited about the future. Our vision, this is a little new since last time I saw you. Our vision is more of a challenge to ourselves and something that I absolutely believe is possible, removing all barriers to access of nutritious foods in our community by 2030. We're going to put a year on it because that's how you kind of march to something. Our values are dignity, cultivating a culture that ensures everyone is valued and respected, equity and access, addressing inequitable systemic practices while removing barriers, food access, and community, a network of collaborative partners unified in building outcome-focused solutions. Our community has risen to the occasion. This is a community fair. It's not Stacy, Benson, the girls. It's a lot of us, but it's the community that really takes the front row seat on this one. So excited to share more about that later. We believe that the shame surrounding food banking can be erased with simple and human-focused innovation and a willingness to design systems and spaces that think the most of human beings and not the worst. And I often say that a lot of systems that serve human beings are designed for the 1% of the population that maybe or maybe not is taking advantage of the system or not using it appropriately. And so the 99% of the people that are just trying to have a safety net are typically treated in an inhumane and indignified way because of that. So the market is just a proof that we have to be that way. We believe that the emotional impacts of walking into a stunning and hopeful space can change how a person feels about themselves, and that it has ripple effects beyond our walls. We believe that no child in our community should bear the burden and shame of visiting a food bank with their family. We believe that our customers' experience is as nourishing as the food. I'm hearing my customers say to me, and like last week, so I'm totally not making this up, you guys. In these exact words, I don't feel like I'm taking anymore. I feel like I'm part of this community. I feel so special when I'm here. My children beg me to come in. That sign kid, it means a lot to me. I don't have to say I went to the food banking. You give me so much more nutrition for so much more than nutrition for my body, feed my soul. That was a gentleman that had been severed every aneurysm in December. We had been delivering, and I had probably one of the most thoughtful conversations with him as he had just discharged from the hospital and had no food in his fridge. He lived in Prairie Ridge, and he was in a crisis. And we have a 303 number that he could call. So I was able to meet him there on a Friday night. This beautiful conversation, and I walked through the market last week, and he was standing right there in the produce aisle, said that to me, and I am not often speechless. I was. Market. So I put together, I am on the floor a lot, just kind of talking to people, and we give a lot of tours, and I put together kind of this food banking 101, because I found that there's a lot of mystery in this industry that I work in. Let's kind of break it down a little bit. So I get all of these questions I've been asked quite frequently, and so I put kind of the greatest hits here. Where does your money come from? So almost 75%, so this is cool, you guys, are given from local individuals. They're individual donations. In 2020, that was over $1 million. The community knew we were in crisis and $500 checks at a time. Who makes the decisions on how your budget and your money is spent? So the executive team, our vice president, president, treasurer, and secretary, and myself form the executive team. We make the decisions on our strategic budget each year. We're held accountable by a board of 12 individuals. And we publicly report our 990s, and we have paid independent bookkeepers, accountants, and teams. So it's business, it's not a charity, business. Where does your food come from? We're part of the Emergency Food Network, which is a hub based in Tacoma, Washington, that supplies our WSDA contracted foods and large donations to 70 other food banks like ours in Pierce County. We also work with Food Lifeline, and that's the managing partner. It would prevent a lot of, it prevents a lot of arguments on loading docks where some people say, no, today's my Costco day. No, it's mine. Pretty sure that's how Food Lifeline. So all big box donations, we work with them on. Through our partnership, we pick up food from the Bonney Lake, Red Meyer, Costco. We also work with private companies directly. So we go to Delano's, Crumble, 4 Days Market, Little Caesars, Lamppost, Reno's, Whole Foods, and Amazon Fresh. Either drive there or they drop it off. 4 Days Market just opens up the back cooler and puts it right in there. Quite a community situation. We also have phenomenal food drives that are another amazing source of the mayor's food drive this year, 45,000 pounds, working with Murray's and our community. It's incredible. Why do you pay for food? And do other food banks purchase food? Yes. There's simply not enough food recovered in the system right now to feed the current need. We are still in a state of crisis 2 years into the pandemic. Even with all the food donations received, we still need to purchase around $300 or $300,000 each year. And we opt to spend local when we have that money. At the beginning of the pandemic, I think you remember, like, Smithco and different distributors that work directly with schools and restaurants, they did not have businesses to ship things out to, so we were able to go and purchase directly from them. Make sure that they check too. So yes, all food banks are purchasing some amount of food right now. Large regional food banks like ours purchase a significant, so it's not unusual. Grants work. We write grants and other that are either restricted or unrestricted. Restricted means that we purchase for specific program or capital items. So I tell people if it's brand new, it's shiny, it has a bell or a whistle, that was paid for by a grant written by typically Terry. Unrestricted means that we can use the funds for strategic purposes such as innovative initiatives, administrative expenses, payroll, etc. Undesignated grants are less readily available right now, but highly needed to conduct our. How much are your expenses each month? $75,000. Our budget January of 2020 was 6. We serve certain zip codes. As a WSBA contractor with federal funds and federal food, those are 80% of our food right now that is sitting in the market. Part of our contract is that we cannot turn anybody away that resides in the state of Washington. That happened during the pandemic. That is a condition of my contract. Okay. You know I wouldn't turn anybody away, but I'm contractually obligated to that. Are you religiously or politically affiliated and supported? No, we are not a faith-based organization. We're also nonpartisan, but we do receive support from both. And we have found the beauty in all of us agreeing on one very important thing. We all agree on that. Do you pay your staff? And how many? Yes, we have 8 staff members, and we'll need to hire an additional staff, probably 2 more this year. The sheer volume and physical stamina needed, that requires paid and insured employees. How many volunteers do you have? So even on top of all this paid staff, we currently have 100 active volunteers. 30% of that, by the way, is from our incredible workers, wonderful workforce. In 2021, they donated over 13,000 hours. That's the equivalent of almost $500,000 in free labor. Thanks. I can't even imagine how many staff members we have to cover that. Do you own the farm or the building? We do not. We lease it. And we are currently looking for agricultural property right now to expand. The Bonney Lake Food Bank has this reputation for right after we get done paying or finished with something, we've already outgrown it. That would be the case here, but that doesn't mean that we would move from the market. We have a 25-year lease with options to renew. We have first option to purchase, first right of refusal. Also, any investment in capital that we have put into the market is ours. So the HVAC, ours, the light bulbs, ours, the doorknobs, ours, and that beautiful piece of equipment in the back paid by the WSDA, that is also ours. So we have made smart investments there and protected them well. Why did you build a warehouse in another property in another city? This warehouse is amazing. This just happened this past weekend. We all of us here just got off forklifts and have been moving stuff around for the last 3 days. Our new warehouse is leased for 3 years. It was ready to roll. It's 3 miles from the farm. It's on commercial property. It is everything we needed, and it is safe. And I need to get out of construction containers as quick as I could. They are not ergonomically friendly. I have 4 staff members with sore backs, and people were slipping and sliding in those things, and we had to get them out. That was it for Food Bank 101 there. So where does our funding come from? I told you 75% individuals, but I sort of broke it out in a pie chart there, just so you can alter. 15% from businesses, is WSTA and local government there, and foundations. Foundations pay for big things like our trucks and vehicles. The social impact. So it's interesting, there's not a lot of metrics, although we are trying to find our own key performance indicators. Social impact is hard to measure. In dollars and cents, I'm able to give you exactly. This breaks down. 52% of who we serve right now are citizens of Bonney Lake. That equates to 27,700 visits by citizens in 2020 and 2021. 2.2 million pounds of food were distributed, which is the value of, there's like a national metric, that's 3.8 million is the value of that food, all the labor that went into it. You can see how we break down kind of regionally here. The market, we are the Bonney Lake Food Bank. The market is regional. That is our contract. this is the really exciting part that I wanted to tell you guys about. This is new since we last talked. With all this grant writing that we've been doing, we have been able to put funds right back into the local economy. So there is the indirect financial value that we put back into the economy. So like when somebody's groceries are paid for, that is a burden, a financial burden that they do not have. And so they're able to pay their rent, pay for their cars, do what they need to do. But directly this year, we've been able to put money back into the economy that equates to 725,000 food purchases with local retailers. So we have money that goes, grocery outlet here is owner operated, family operated. So all of our backpack foods, kids foods, holiday foods, we've written out $50,000 checks to them around Christmas time. There simply would not have been enough food to feed people around the holidays without direct purchasing. So we opted to keep that right here in the city. 175,000 was awarded to us from the WSBA. We were able to allocate that to local farmers like Patrick. So yeah, Patrick's side here for you. 112,000 from other purchases from local businesses, administrative, our signage, anytime we can shop local, we do. And then 129,000 local wages for labor when people come out to work for us. They get paid. Give us a great discount. Here's some of our big farmer folks, McKinsey, the Macarios, a couple baskets filled with food at grocery outlet. And there is Patrick in our food story. I also want to just kind of break down our strategic focus on who we are working with, which is the most vulnerable population in our area right now. For senior citizens, that makes up 14% of the population we serve. Right now, we're offering home delivery, which are essentially wellness checks by a devoted volunteer who makes sure that they have prepared meals, that they have the nutrition that they want. You speak with local physicians around here, a lot of those wellness checks that are being done when they do online appointments. The physician that I see that also has, she has them bring the iPad over to the fridge and open up. Spoiler alert, not very many great things. And so we're trying to work with senior citizens to make sure that they have everything that they need. Those prepared meals, the kids at the Bonney Culinary Arts made homemade holiday meals for diabetics, gluten-free. They were delivered like little gifts. It looked like Metropolitan Market, hygiene products that they might need, and we customized their groceries. So we're addressing their unique health needs. Youth, 36% of who we serve are youth. Currently, we run our Food for Kids backpack program. We have Teen Time that Tiff runs fearlessly every Thursday and keeps them all super duper busy. I like to see you. Our partnership with Bonney Lake High School Culinary Arts, and I have recently tasked the Bonney Lake High School Honor Society with helping me destigmatize food and hunger among the teen population, which we know is suffering quite silently. BIPOC communities, 40% that we are serving at the market. We use a text broadcasting in 5 languages. We are repacking.
Yes. I'm not good at that. What is
Oh, yes, okay. Black, Indigenous, people of color.
Okay.
All the beautiful people. We are repackaging culturally represented foods, translation of all of our info, members of the Pierce County Equity Committee, that is Tiffany Robson over there, and the Senator Bonney Lake. Diverse staff, we are 50% BIPOC representation of our staff. When people walk into our space and feel represented by the foods and the people there, there is an instant. So we've addressed that's a huge barrier to access, people feeling really uncomfortable in spaces where they're in need. And so we address that head on. Rural food desert. A food desert, I want to just describe this because you'll be hearing this a lot, is where it's not that there isn't food. There isn't a spot in the state of Washington where there isn't food. We're not really in a food crisis as much as we are in an access crisis. Here's in the pandemic, it's still a crisis. People are having a hard time accessing food. In particular in our area with the cost of living and the disparity there. people have a hard time accessing fresh and healthy foods. It's a lot cheaper to eat really bad food for you. And so we are addressing this head on with our work with the WSDA writing grants, having local farmers like Patrick working with us, making sure that all people have access to foods. The highest sign-up rate right now that I'm seeing are senior citizens here in Bonney Lake who are on a fixed income and can no longer afford the milk or the eggs. They're coming to us and they have their cute little baskets and they all meet each other there. It's great. Veterans. We have 105 veterans right now that are currently our customers, and 90 non-active and 15 active. We actually hired 2 of our National Guards that do special projects for us, driving construction projects. We're able to put income back into their pockets after they served us so selflessly. 18 months. We are also positioning ourselves as a community hub of support. We know that food brings people in. And so while they're there, if there are other things going on with them where they can start help and kind of that safety net, we are gathering some great partnerships that are helping us triage that, especially. So White River Community Outreach, Cindy Orcutt, if you've ever met her, we refer at least 20 customers in crisis to her a month. She is there every Thursday working out of my office and just triaging anything from no coats for kids, no Christmas gifts, no transportation to doctor's appointments, really, really significant issues that people are having with access and just basic. The Summer Bonney Lake Family Center has been incredible to work with. We collaborate with them on family support events, referring families with school-aged children, also working with Sound Outreach and their job and financial education for having financial classes and education. The school district, Summer Bonney Lake and White River, currently we're working doing outreach and food drives. We belong to the CFF and Equity Committee. We're members of that. We partner with district staff to create opportunities for the most heavily impacted students. Jensen and I right now are working on something where we want to get kids playing Minecraft, getting them access to licenses. And there is a new inclusion and equity licensing where we're going to have them design the market. I'm pretty sure that the kids are going to help us with all of our. Yeah, so he's got his kids piloting it, and we're working with the school district right now to figure out how we can get kids access to wonderful things like Minecraft that not all families can afford. Get them plugged into something. We believe that the pandemic has taught us that creating localized food sustainability is more important than ever. Gone through what now? 4 supply chain breakdowns that are pretty significant. We believe that it's not just a narrative shift, but a complete trajectory changing model and innovative mindset surrounding food resource, supply chain, food waste, and community focused food security. We believe that creating infrastructure and meaningful connections that support the efforts of local farmers and food producers are the way of the future. Got this guy's greenhouse up in here. My next door neighbor happens to grow all these microgreens. Patrick, the 2021 WSDA grant cycle, we were allocated 175. We were able to allocate 35,000 to Patrick. That is just money that he can count on. Another 55,000 for our pig farmer that we're working with. We're able to really decide what is going to work for our customer. Specifically, microgreens are great for our senior citizen delivery. They're 7 times more nutrient dense than their adult counterpart. So our senior citizens can kind of nibble on this, and it's like they've had a whole bowl of nutrition. All these funds go directly to our farmers and food producers in our area for Q1 and Q2, and we'll be writing another round for Q3, Q4. Patrick, do you want to say anything about being our neighbor?
Yeah, so I mean, the grant alone has really helped my small business. Both, I've been in business staff now for about 3.5 years, and so I'm still kind of in startup mode, really. And my clients are primarily restaurants, and so the up and down that has occurred with the restaurant over the past 2 years. Getting this grant from the market was really instrumental in not only solidifying my household's income and my business, but also the hours of some of my, right? And so knowing that I can count that has been huge. When you get to talking about supply chains, there is no supply chain in the market. I'm 15 feet away. Me and my wife go in on a Sunday morning. We grow, most of my product takes between 9 and 17 days to grow. I can grow about 2 pounds of food in 11 days. And so we go in on a Sunday morning, we harvest and package, the market's ordered, the market goes through roughly 100 of both packaged produce as well as living produce. We're actually able to supply them with live plants. So people can have windowsill gardens that they just go into the market and get. These are all super. And then we just put their order right in their market. We just are able to walk right over. I'm able to offer them a below wholesale rate because I don't have to worry about the cash flow. And I also don't have to worry about any ancillary fees coming from semi trucks, extra refrigeration, all of that goes into selling to a big. I don't have to worry about any of that. It's literally like it's a day's worth of work, and we just walk in, and then they go through the course while I have to explore. So, I know that Stacy's really good at PowerPoints, and I think what sometimes when you're doing a really professional presentation, what you guys aren't gonna really inherit is just how cool of an environment this place is. Right? You're gonna go there. I really I encourage you guys to stop by. I stop by quite frequently. But seriously, they meet me in on a Saturday morning. They are tireless. I know that they're all, they're paid and all that, but I can't tell you the amount of hours that they volunteer after. It really is a part of their core personality, and everything they do really, it's touching the amount of their lives they put into their local community. So if you have any extra dough to give these folks, please give it. And I can say
No filter. Another very exciting thing to talk with you guys about. We've been thinking a lot about expansion and expanding our reach and what that can look like, how we can be environmentally friendly, how we can address access, how we can destigmatize. The very beginning of the pandemic, second week actually, there were people just driving around this building over here, just driving around. I watched them driving around till 9 o'clock at night because I was still. And I remember telling Terry, calling her on the phone and saying, "My gosh, Terry, this is crazy. People don't know what time of day it is. They're in crisis. Their brains, their frontal lobe isn't working so greatly. They're driving around even after hours. People are desperate. We need a vending machine." And so she started looking into that, and she does her Terry thing and wrote it all up and started pricing stuff out and researching it. So this concept was really born 2.5 years ago, really. And we started putting it together, and it was sort of one of those things. The farm came about, and so that was our delivery model. We were really busy doing both of those things, and we've written a couple grants, and then a couple months ago, 6 months ago, we brought it back out, and I was like, it's time now. We invited Councilmember Morrell, and I gave him my best Hail Mary ever, right? And I said, I think it's time for this. This is the answer. This is the expansion. We have tried mergers and having second sites that you just inherit more logistic issues without increasing access. It's very expensive to run these food banks. this is an easier way. And so Dave went to bat for us, as only Dave can, and we got it funded through his. He called me and told me his whole spiel, the whole thing, and so this is our outside of the box solution for addressing hunger. I believe in it so very strongly. It addresses what I feel most passionate about, which are barriers to access, which are sometimes stigma. There are so many families that do not want to admit that they cannot pay their bills and feed their family. Food Resource goes tech with this. These are self-service, 24-hour, Wi-Fi enabled refrigerated lockers. Jensen's been working just a little amount of time has gone into researching what equipment we're going to be using for this pilot. And Bell Howard went out by a landslide. It will also give us the ability for these lockers to be heated, so a hot meal for a family will be waiting for them as well. They're designed for outdoor, they're freestanding, can be in community spaces. They're cost effective, they're sustainable for strategic growth in rural areas, in food deserts like the one that we're in. Securing partnerships now with libraries, city hall, fire departments. We want to start writing MOUs, we're in that place right now. We would love to partner with the city of Bonney. We're going to roll it out this summer at the market. It's perfect for a lot of the people that we serve work. A lot of our delivery customers are working class folks. So this gives them the ability, like right now, we have families that come to our back porch. So this is a much more dignified solution to kind of come in the middle of the night and sneak into the back porch and grabbing things. We'll have these community lockers. They're going to be market lockers. I think the future of this, just because I like to think 6 steps ahead, would be, Patrick's a farmer, but most of his life is spent driving, not farming. So yeah. So buy online, pick up at market. This can support local agriculture and food. So we're going to continue to think out of the box. Elizabeth Carter runs our diaper bank. This is a way for families to access needs for their children immediately. We all know that when you run out of diapers, that happens in the middle of the night. And so this would be a way to address those immediate needs. We're excited about this. Right now we're looking, this expense chart is kind of wild, to 2019, at a whopping $112,000 the entire year. Fast forward 2020, 1.2 million, that was our budget.
Is that our dignified city administrator in there?
It really is.
Dignified.
It really is. I scrapped that map. Remember that time? Yeah, we got our picture. That was a good day. So our organization out to the farm, get all settled in. We went out to the farm on a wing and a prayer. I knew that when we went out there, that it was major Hail Mary. But it worked out great for us. It's been the best thing we could have ever done. We had no way of predicting at this time what we were in for. We were going into another insane year of the pandemic. This funding equated to 0.04 of our incurred expenses that year over the course as a whole. Right now, we are asking for an investment of $50,000 a year for market like food bank for 3 years, $150,000 total. This would hopefully be unrestricted funding that would allow us to be strategic with our expenses. Currently, with 52% of our customers in the Bonney Lake area, we're asking for 5% of our 2023 budget. In 2022, funding and food programs from the WSDA and federal sources they are going to decrease. Eventually, the money pictures are going to turn on. The ultimate vision for the Bonney Lake Food Bank is that I want us to be self-sustaining. That is my big dream. My biggest Hail Mary is that we are able to sustain from the inside. That we will be able to produce the revenue that we need through farming, through our work with partners, through leaseholds with strategic partners that will pay for our own budget. That's our goal. Justin and I are from private sector, so we're just like that, right? So I got a little time before we get to that space, and I'll need a little bit of help. The food bank is investing in economic development of local business on youth and older adults in our area. I think a lot of times when people, come and ask for money, a lot of times, you're asking for your entire budget, you're asking to help sustain something. I am really asking for a small. Keep us in business, keep us feeling secure. What I most want to express though is there has never been a time where I've asked or I wasn't giving back. What we want to do as an organization through our grant writing, a lot of our grant writing allows us to give back to the community. If I have a vehicle that was paid by public funds, that's something that Patrick can use to drive orders to Seattle. That's something that a local farmer can use my refrigerated truck. The infrastructure that we have on the farm, we have an open door policy for food producers and farmers in our area to come and use that equipment. It would be cost prohibitive for them to do that and create that infrastructure for themselves. And so I'm looking for ways, no matter what we're doing at the market, I'm looking for our primary source is to feed people, right? That's what food banks do. But I want to level up on that. How many more opportunities are we creating for people in our area? How are we using this sort of beautiful venue that we have as a hub of support so that you're getting so much more for your dollar? We kind of broke it down to our capacity expenses. When we were in the city, our rent, water, power, and garbage were paid for. That equated to about $50,000 a year. Right now, those same expenses equate to $67,000, but my ask is prorated. I just want to conclude with some statements that resonate with me so very much, and kind of what is happening at the market. It's hard to explain. I hope that if you haven't been out, that you can come and hang out with me. We honestly believe that the improvement in food security can create a butterfly effect in our communities. I am actually watching that happen. I knew that some of these gestures and these intentions that we put out were unique and different, and that we were creating a different environment, and I'm watching it happen. Very cool. We're watching the powerful human response to dignity, disease, expected. We're watching shoulders relax, knowing that they have a safety net. We're watching health outcomes improve through diet and access to healthy foods. We're watching children excited to visit us, never knowing that they were at a food bank. Jensen made that statement when we moved out for our video, that was the whole point of the project. We were going to just put our thumbs. And the day we achieved that, I texted Jensen, and this is it. We did that. We're watching our community rise to the occasion, part of the solution, investing in us with our heart and soul. So thank you so very, very much for listening to me. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer.
Before I open it to council, I do have 3 questions, specific questions. Okay.
All right.
All right. The first one you touched on, you were talking about, you basically limited your presentation to food. However, there was a solution to dry goods, such as diapers and hygiene equipment. What is the scope of your dry goods that you have here? Specifically for hygiene and
Referring to the lockers.
Well, no, I'm referring to, one of the things that I saw, there was a basket that had a little, thing of Huggies in it, so
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure you're doing dry goods right now.
Oh, yeah.
How much beyond food is your,
Because we are a diaper bank, we now, through Grow in Pierce County, funding that went through just recently, another round went through, we have been able to have all of that money through Pierce. So we're a diaper bank right now for East Pierce. That's amazing. For work with that. During the holidays last year, so the end of 2020, there were families that needed diapers, those grants, and that attention to that had not come through. So in our budget, there's about $2,000 in our budget to be able to handle a crisis and emergent need. And we'll go out for separate sources to of funding to get that, because you have ever told Mama that you didn't have diapers.
and one of the other things that you did allude to was seniors who correlation with public transportation. I know our senior center has a van that where they drive around. Have you coordinated anything with our senior center and vans to take the seniors?
So our delivery model was actually adopted from, so when they, during most of the pandemic, they were doing those deliveries, and then we took them over and sort of, started calling and seeing what needs they might have. So that was originally that route was from senior citizens. Transportation wise, and we're working with the White River Senior Center. They're going to be bringing the van out, but we haven't had the senior center.
Okay. I have many questions, but the last one I'm limiting. Statistics of the vending machines. That we were talking about. And one of the things that just crept up in my mind, natural occurrence, is vandalism and crime that might happen. So, do you have any data on how the other 7 in Pierce County have worked with that?
So the pilot launches this year, so we haven't launched any of them yet.
Oh,
and that is definitely on our radar. That what we're hoping though is that if we have them within cities where there are cameras, there is ADA accessibility, that will be less of a problem. Now we do know that sometimes people do bad things. Our intention is to launch that in the market first and really work through any kinks, what might be going on, and then we'll go branch out, do 3 more. Everybody will get to kind of bear witness. We're very public about how we do things and our methodology, so you'll get to see that process with us. My hope would be not, the money that you think we've been very trusting with it and things around the building. We have, knock on wood, nobody has ever touched anything that homes are. So, but not naive. Those things can happen. I think we want to have them in really safe areas where there is already security in place. Fire stations, libraries, city halls come to mind for that reason.
All right, thank you. Council, y'all have any questions? Councilmember Watson.
Just like I said, they work real well with all the other groups in town. My kid's house, the family center is Sumner and Sumner. I take things to them, they give things to me. I delivered stuff last year to their warehouse in Sumner for them. They all work together real well with the needs we have to balance out and make it work. And sanitizers and all that. Really good relationship they have. And what they've grown from what they were from day one when she came on the job, they have been absolutely remarkable. And not going out there once in a while to show what they have, you missed out the whole experience, especially the weekends for a bit of one. I congratulate you what you've done, just the whole crew. Your staff is remarkable. Thank you for that.
Councilmember Evans, I thought this was
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. Meet with you guys. And it's such a great program that you have going, but you have another one that maybe I missed in the first half while I was driving in, but tell us about Team 28.
Oh, thank you very much. So, Team 28 is our sustainability plan. The community continues to show us so much support, and we wanted to sort of brand it. We're a little bit into branding. Team 28 represents $28. $28 fills a basket of food for a local family to visit and have the dignity of choice in shopping through the market. They can fill that basket. I don't know the last time you were at the market what your tab was, but it probably wasn't $28. So we can do a lot with $7, at least 7 times. So by participating in that program, being part of Team 28 means that you pledge to give us $28 each month for the duration of 12 months or 24 months, and be part of the sustainability and part of our team.
That's on your website or Facebook?
It is. It's my own website. Thanks, Justin.
Oh, no, Councilmember Ball.
Yeah, I have written my notes down to make sure I don't forget what I was going to say. But yeah, I just want to say first of all, just you being in private sector shows that your business model with this. Definitely, I shared with you my own experience. We had to go to food banks. My mom associated with going. It was really embarrassing. And I know that my mom had a really hard time admitting that we needed help. And I believe that your business model does give dignity back to people. And I think I know that it's easier to get behind someone like you, whereas it's not just any old food, right? You're doing a lot more with it. And I also like that you do have a long-term goal of being self-sustaining constantly on this is going to be our thing, but what is going to be your budget and things like that. I love that you work with farmers. It's so smart, local farms, because farmers feed America. So they're needed. And I know that farmers a lot of the times definitely not a big money business, but it's needed. And I do love your open door. Thank you for bringing to me. So, thank you.
Any other questions?
Maybe you have a quick comment. I wanted to expound on the resources that these folks have been able. So when you talk about the ability to use certain that may or may not be a community asset, I am able to get a GAP certification, which is agriculture practice certification, because of some of the infrastructure that the market has in place. That certification is going to allow me to sell not only across the state at a higher level, but across state lines as well. One thing that they have installed that they use, but I'm welcome the hot water heater. They have installed a hand washing also. The walk-in, I am able to use the walk-in rather than have 4 or 5 Craigslist refrigerators. And so that component may have been slightly underrepresented. But as they grow that capability, it's going to create a lot more opportunity for people like me to actually get off. Because when you're starting out, sometimes it's just really hard to get the money to put in a sink. Because that, everything has to be. So after you hire the plumber, get the gas pipe done, you actually buy the sink and get your water tested and septic tested, especially as a farm dealing with food safety. You're talking about 10 grand just for a sink. And so being able to have access to that on site, having to put up that super.
Well, that does beg a question for me, if you had goals and ambitions of going across state, would that not subject you to federal inspection?
Yeah, so that would be something that the USDA would take care of, not the WSDA.
Okay.
So right now, I don't have the capacity to go across state lines.
Right.
But what I will have after my capture, that isn't a legal requirement, but it is a distributor requirement, is that I will be able to sell at distributors and be able to provide them with a third party audit of my state.
Yeah, my particular concern with that would be that would transfer, if you're using the food bank's facilities, would that transfer to where you would be under federal audit by the USDA? Do you know?
That's only steps ahead, but I appreciate that. I think, I mean, we want to be prepared for that level of, infrastructure that need be, if that meant that Patrick could, expand his business and other, farmers like him, that would definitely be on our hit list to be certified for sure.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Stacy. I certainly appreciate the presentation. Seeing how it's almost 6 o'clock. Our next item, which would be council open discussion. Do we have any open discussion? Starting with Councilmember Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On March 3rd, myself and Councilperson Porter attended the Community Families Push meeting. And we had a presentation from the Deputy Chief, Annie McCurdy, about Lahars.
Oh.
And it was really interesting to hear what their plans were and what they're doing. And I would like to just bring up the tragedies going on in Europe right now with Romania and everything. They have routes all planned for Bonney Lake. So what are we going to do tomorrow, because of Lahar, we get 10,000 people from Sumner, after our living there. That's something that for the food bank, necessary for us to, how are we going to take care of these people? We need to talk about this as time goes on. So we're really interested in their plans and what they're doing. I know we've got things moving forward, but that's just watching people something about that could really be possible. Good presentation. They had all the routes planned out. They had the kids would walk up the hill and where Hungary is over there and stuff, that, but just a lot going on. Also have a special project I'm part of. It's called Super Secret Community Project. Where we are, myself and Sue Hart are putting together things within our community. If I find ways to go out in your town, clean up things out there, do things, and there's other groups within school district are going to help and clean up and fix up the stuff. So it's done with our community. So get more people involved that way. Looking forward to more moving forward. And they were talking about just getting back to normal in the schools. The only other thing I'd like to say is, if you're not aware of Rarely Hill Anderson's husband, he has cancer. Spent the time with her on Friday. Very wonderful time with her again. And so his cancer is spread through his chest area, and it's just kind of time. So please keep her in prayers, or just keep her in thoughts. So she does so much for our community. These things, I'll talk to her at 10:30 at night. She's still hard at work. What's going on? Sarah text, and she calls me like that. So she's like these people here. They work many hours and stuff. So she's done a lot for us. Anyway, that's all I have to share.
Well, thank you, Councilmember Watson. Any other open discussion? Okay, Councilmember Baldwin.
Well, I wanted to bring up a thought that maybe we could put on another workshop agenda, and it's that I have been talking with businesses all throughout Bonney Lake, and just saying, how are things going? What is it like being in Bonney Lake? How's it expanding your business, just things like that. And I'm getting a common thread that it is hard to do business. And so I've asked them, what are those things? And it also seems like there's just they're getting bogged down with a lot of regulation. And so in regards to small businesses, I feel very strongly that we don't want, well, first of all, small businesses, anytime they're opening, we all know that they put everything online. And I don't want Bonney Lake to be a problematic place to start a small business. And so I have talked with, I know one of the things that maybe is missing here in Bonney Lake is not having some sort of a small businesses coming together as a community, some sort of community co-op style, businesses coming together, not like the Chamber of Commerce where it is through for-profit, but some sort of just not-for-profit where businesses can come together and find common goals and maybe similar issues and then try to move forward together. So one of the things that I am proposing is I have been asking businesses what are some of the regulation codes that have been difficult. And especially if it has impeded their ability to be able to expand their business or to even move forward quickly in their business. Because the time is money with small businesses too. And so I'm going to be gathering that over the next couple of weeks from businesses as far as what are the things that have made life really hard for them. And then I want to potentially propose to the council looking through some of the codes and seeing whether it's still necessary code or not. I don't want to be a city that just has arbitrary rules that may not be beneficial to a business. I've also contacted Enumclaw, and I talked with Enumclaw about what it is that they are doing to be an attractive place for a small business. So I'm working through figuring out what some of those issues. I don't know if it's a possibility for us to look at that or to put that on some sort of a workshop.
Well, we have to have one resource we might be able to ask if Councilmember Morrell, if you would not mind being put on the spot. Do you know of any Pierce County small business administrators that perhaps model that?
Several cities that have economic development, put you in touch our economic development coordinator, who is just up here today.
Okay.
Meeting with a few businesses that we have salary program, help small business. I think Sandy would be a great resource to be able to look at that. She interacts with every county, comes from the healthy side environment. So we could definitely would help do that. Small businesses, my heart, what I've been doing for 40 years. So anything I can help, I definitely would. So thank you for that question. But yeah, all of them, you can do that information.
Well, thank you very much. Is there anybody else who has any open discussion? Councilmember Fuller.
Yeah, one of my thoughts on that, going along with what Councilmember Baldwin was about, I thought it would be great for businesses when they want to come into Bonney Lake if there was actually a packet of different permits or different expenditures that they might have when they're wanting to open up. So a welcome packet that says, welcome to Bonney Lake. Here are some possible expenditures that you need to look for, and basically at least give them an idea of how much it's going to cost in order to start a business. What are the permits? Are you going to need to do a traffic impact study? Are you going to have to do, I don't know, build roads, say, things like that. This is very near and dear to my heart. So I think it would be wonderful if we had something at least so that people could know what to expect and help them have like a step-by-step instruction on how to get it done. If you need to do this first, and do this, this, this. Welcome to Bonney Lake, you have a business, So I think that would be something amazing if we could, or at least have a correspondence person that could be the liaison between that would hand out the packet between the businesses and city administrators so that people don't feel overwhelmed. Somebody who's actually welcoming and excited to have a big business.
You hear that?
So just a liaison, somebody that can. So you have this person here, and then it kind of they do all of the talking. They're like a mediator. Okay, well this business has a question. Where do I need to go? Or which city personnel do I need to do in order to answer this? So that you're not making a million phone calls. You're just simply trying to figure out where you got to put it right? So.
Well, that point's very well taken. Councilmember Watson, would you have?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 10 years ago, I came to council. From my prior life, I heard from a lot of people that had trouble in meetings too, getting things passed in my way. So I was like,
With that prior life involved Office Depot.
yeah. They all came to store and tell me the problems. And there was a lot of things as I came into council, we look at those and solve those problems. We also created an economic development committee on council a number of years ago. Did that for what, 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, I got lots of.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
it was really effective. I remember that.
and we tried to get the business to come to it, participate, they're having problems, and they were so busy getting set up, they didn't have time to even come to meetings. It was just us being there, trying to make some decisions to help them along. So things that we heard, we asked the planning department to change those and work on those, which they did. They're very able to take care of the problems that small businesses are facing. So if you could think of something, one other way to make it work out, so they can on talking about what you're doing. Another committee on justification, talk about doesn't seem to work real well. They're busy doing the daily media together when we eat. But if you could have like a weekend meeting, who does that, helping hand, that's the problem they realize. They think the city's not working with them. They don't realize this is what they should have done in the first place. That's why I found as our people here are very helpful. 9 times out of 10, there's always something to happen. But the new business owner forgets about that. And this week I got a text from Walmart. They're doing a big change in Walmart. And he says, can you help us? And then half our list is Tom, they took care of us, they were my network. They were there to do it. So, they just need to see what needs to be done and solve the things that you're both talking about are essential. But for how to make it work, I would support you wherever I can do make it work.
Well, it sounds like this is something we should touch down in here. So, yeah.
But I do believe the chamber does have a full packet.
And we're meeting tomorrow, by the way. With the chamber.
The chamber collective, yeah. And they have the monthly meetings and they do all that stuff. I believe they have a welcome packet as well.
What time
It's at 11:30 at the hospital. The city's a member of the chamber. You're welcome to come.
Okay, I think I'll answer this.
is it? That's a conversation.
Okay. I hear what you're saying, and I wonder first and foremost what the Chamber of Commerce is doing to advocate for business only. I have been talking to several people, and I don't know that they play a large role, and so that just makes me go. And then aside from that, I am very curious now, and I don't know who I would ask this, but what are the most common violations of city regulations by business? I'm curious to know, okay, is there a list of the most common violations? What are they? Are these regulations that we can look at and say, is this beneficial or is this moot? And so I guess that's where I feel like I would like to go.
Like code violations or?
Yeah, I'm assuming so.
Okay.
There are things that they are doing when they're starting their businesses.
We don't have
they're
a code
trying to
enforcement
create-
officer.
Yeah.
So and before we further on this particular point, I think item F, when we get to that one, probably the most important or the most appropriate time. That's exactly,
Okay, great.
which is a code, which is code enforcement.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Any more open discussion? Yes, Councilmember Fuller.
Yeah, one of the things that I've been trying to figure out what we can do as far as like, our parks and everything are concerned, I really do want to have that, study done so that we know what we're looking at for Midtown, but also, there are so many amazing opportunities for grants. And you can see how the food bank is utilizing grants, and to get things done that they need to have done. And I would really like to look into grants to fund any new parks that we want to do, or even city buildings. There are so many ways that we could pay for all of these things without ever touching a taxpayer dollar. So I really feel like we do need to have grant writers available.
Well, I can tell you
How many
that,
we have here?
as a commentary, I can tell you that I have made for Mr. several times on trying to get the names and identities of good grant writers. They mentioned a name tonight that I'm going to pry out of them one day. Perhaps help the city and not just the food bank. So. All right, any further discussion? All right, hearing no further discussion, let's move on to the review of council minutes. Council members, Watson, three, okay. All right, doesn't look like we have any action items here. Madam Clerk, can we move on to item E?
This is item E, which is for discussion only on the tax calculation.
Okay, this is not my bailiwick, so I'm definitely going to hand it over to the council. Ms. Ryerson, can you hear us?
I'm here. I'm having a really hard time hearing tonight. I've sent out the council a memo, what was it, the better part of 2 weeks ago, so that you guys could have a discussion tonight and have the answers beforehand. I think Justin Evans probably has a better feel to start the discussion, since this is an item he's brought forward. I'm here for questions, though, if the council has questions.
I brought this forward. I have a deadline. Literally just got over here. So the whole reason I wanted to talk about this was, we as a city, we have the ability to do a B&O tax, a business and operation acronym form, or business operations tax of 0.2%, and we can tax it on gross sales, net sales. It's kind of an open-ended tax that we can apply as we see fit. And the purpose of this is to leverage some monies that we could use to do a bond for our parks. Based on the 750 million plus or minus total gross sales we had in 2021, that would equate to, was that like 1.2 million, 1.4 million? I don't have But that at $65,000 per million borrowed would be somewhere in the $18 million bond range for parks. And that would be taxing the entirety of those sales, where we could, for, our business, what we're here for, is cap that and say anything over 100,000 or 200,000. We're not capping off at the needs the small businesses that are trying to survive here, but taking advantage of a potential revenue stream that is ongoing right now. All of our parks are funded by a shrinking inventory of houses to be built and homes to be sold, and that is all that funds our capital improvement. So, and it's not even 100% of the house sale on the REIT, it's 30%. So every year that we try and add more and more to parks, we're doing it with funding source that gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So this is an opportunity to take advantage of a healthy revenue stream that would be ongoing. Most of our businesses are doing fun. So I wanted to bring up, get a look on your face. So it's an opportunity for us to take that money, that 1.5, and bond against that on a council match bond. And I think Sherry said that I was 65,000 per million borrowed,
Yes.
and that's somewhere in the, I think we have a $24 million bond we have right now, so that would take us up to 16, 18 million potentially for that we could use now to get things started. Yeah, otherwise we have no funding source beyond $900,000 a year.
And as you pointed out in many workshops, we're looking.
If we do everything as the comprehensive plan says, including an aquatic center, yeah, it'll be somewhere in the $54 million range. I think it's still owe 9 to 12 on just Mill Creek alone to finish that off. We've got Midtown, we've got Allen York, Cedar View. So that's one of the things I want to discuss is how do we feel about that? Because I mean, honestly, I'm going to stop talking about parks because $900,000 a year is not going to do. So at this point, I'm beating the dead horse, and if we don't try and provide some CPR to this horse, I'm just going to walk away from it. I don't care at that. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you for looking into this further, and thank you, Sherry, for getting this paper out. I did look. So, just want to understand, and I'm asking you this, the $256,000 that we would get from the B&O.
1.4 million.
Okay, so I'm looking.
She had a cap on it, on her.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
okay.
she had a cap. I think your cap was on the gross.
Yeah, it wasn't on the
Yeah, so we can do it on total gross sales, which is at 749 million annually.
So I've been thinking a lot about parks, as you guys know, and the town and things like that. I was thinking that it seems like there is this bigger issue as far as, I did see that it's an unrestricted tax revenue. And you're right, we can't actually talk about parks without the money for parks. That makes a lot of sense, and you guys know how much I love. I will say, is there a possibility, since I was looking at Holly and how they had made a wastewater treatment facility out there, and I am having more. I want to look more. I don't want to be short-sighted about this, our sewage treatment situation. And I'm just wondering if we can look with a little bit more foresight, and will we ever consider potentially funding some sort of a sewage treatment here in Bonney?
That's certainly not a question for me.
Yeah, well, I'm asking because it's like, okay, hey, we want parks. We all do.
I can ask Janice probably well over.
Both of these.
Yeah.
What I can tell you.
Yeah.
It's super complicated.
Okay.
And that's things not useless, but we might not be able to do it because of our situation in summer. And do you know any, Mr. Johnson, do you know anything?
I do a little bit. It's sized specifically to, in response to your question.
Yeah.
Councilman Ball.
And it's significantly smaller, right?
The plant in Solid.
Yeah,
Yes.
because they did tell me it was.
Anybody knows how they did it, what was designed?
I don't, off the top of my head, I remember originally, I thought, okay, to have a plant, planning estimate level cost for a plant that would treat wastewater generated by a city of Bonney Lake. I went through this drill once with some of my contacts that I used to work with at a consulting firm in Ranford, with some contingencies on top of it. You're probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 to 95 million. In technology you employ and how much additional capacity you build into it, that's all part of the design process. And one thing to consider too with wastewater is that regulations are stricter and stricter here. So that initial investment, it doesn't stop with that initial investment. Obviously, on top of maintenance and operations, you're going to have needs that require expansion and improvements in treatment technology. You have to staff that plant. And a plant of that size, you're probably looking at 10 additional employees, something like that.
Okay, so I guess my next question would be is, and again, this may be going off topic, and this might even be a silly question. But my first question then is it not a possibility then to have some sort of grant for the sewage treatment plant? Is that unrealistic to even consider?
No, there's definitely funding opportunities out there. They're not going to pay for the majority of that cost.
Okay, so it's still going to be.
And I can comment on that. It was at a meeting that at prior meetings, in the meeting that we had with Representative Schreiner about this will be, we're going to entertain sort of plans focusing on the energy efficiency that goes along with that, and however, she was open to trying for wastewater infrastructure grant that is passed just issues to or the act that was passed in November.
But it's still small.
Yeah, but it's still small.
Okay, and then lastly, does that mean then as a council that that is not a solution really at all, right? Like I don't want to continue to look maybe down a rabbit hole that is not a possibility. You know what I mean? Where, yeah, if we're gonna, I know the citizens want something different, but obviously that's very expensive, and so, you know, I can stop beating it.
That would be a good discussion of our retreat coming up.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess we can have a little more.
Okay.
Councilmember Watson.
I want to thank Mr. Evans.
Oh,
He
absolutely.
has told me for many years never. Why we can't afford it. Put the BO together, possibility that's the way we should look at it. We should start with. If we think about using some of that, so we start with getting our summer events over in the Midtown area, behind the hospital there. Raised area we talked about there, and the field in front of there. It'd be a great start for the city community to see what we can do. So the road we have there already, put a small, as I talked about for years, a playground there, some type of surface there. And then have a huge area for David Wells and all his recreation. Great start with us, tech to build that, and then compound as years go on to have some more fields out there. And I don't know whoever yet have a pool. We talked about that years ago.
Yeah.
It's so expensive other areas of the city get things going. That's what we want. Until there's so many years that we want things for small kids. We don't have that. We want things for old people like me to go walking someplace that you know you're safe. You can measure how far you walk. We don't have that. We have ball fields, which, you know, that's a neat outfit to go together, but it is. And but we need to take care of the whole community as a whole. The only way we can possibly do is start doing that, maybe do a, you know, check. I really want to make.
And when you said hospital, were you referring to medical? Oh, okay. Any further comment? Deputy Mayor Carter.
Thank you, sir. No. Normally I'm, but really is that. With Mark. So I would be daily. Those things are in place.
All right, are we ready to move on to item F? Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Fuller.
Is there an end to tax or is there or at some point if the businesses reprieve and once we build the parks out and pay off our bill, then do we say, hey, guess what, you guys get a payday and we get back and stop the tax? Or is it something we're going to, as Justin likes to phrase, you know, something that we're going to become dependent on where we can't, where we're going to want to continue to use that money to fund this and something else? We're going to become dependent on.
So this would be potentially a 20-year bond. So it would be in effect for likely those 20 years. And that 20 years gets us 18 million of the 54 that we need. So, I mean, we would have to do this for 40 years, maybe 60 years, three bonds to max out what our comp plan is. And our comp plan will be long since 50 years outdated by that point. So, nice to say, guys, this is temporary thing. By parts, at 5 years from now, we will have zero buildable land. So, unless we annex a whole bunch of areas that have no homes on it, I don't see us being able to generate any money off of parking impact fees from residential build outs.
I would like to suggest that, I believe it was Ryan or maybe Jason suggested doing the study and figuring out what it was that we want to do with the parks and come up with, not phases, because I'm kind of tired of phases already, and I've only been. But basically, how about a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C? This one's going to cost you this much. We'll do our Cadillac to a Toyota Ferrari situation, right? So that we don't necessarily have to have $56 million to fund the park, but we can maybe fund the park and spend $20 million. But, you know, 20 million or 15 million, I don't think that we need to have, you know, I think that even if we had just playing fields that kids can run around, and if we have like dog parks, things like that, then we don't have to have a $56 million park and people are going to be able to come and enjoy it right away if it's not going to cost us so much money. You know, something beautiful that is for the community that we can give back without spending so much of our dollars.
I don't disagree with it. I mean, right now on the books, we still 12 on just Middle Creek alone. This bond would take up a majority of that. All of it, if we find another rock, we can. So. Yeah, just a quick update on that, if I could. So we are getting ready to meet here shortly, prepare a request for proposals. By that study we were just talking about. We believe that's absolutely an essential tool and I haven't get really go any further. And one of the things, just a point to try that home, just to add an opportunity to meet with Joel from Bonney Lake Little League. We were down there in the park. Yeah, sorry, he mentioned your name. No, it was a great conversation. And one of the things that we started talking about were what they would like. This plan, and I think we all need to be open. So this study is really important for us at staff level, and we're excited to move forward. So that will be.
And Councilmember Klein, I was just going to ask you, have you spoken tonight either?
How do we find out what the community wants?
Well, if that is an open question to me,
It's an open question, not just to you. I mean, I really want the council to think about that. What I see is, we hold a community meeting, but that's not representative. That's representative of people who are engaged, but a taxpayer who doesn't come here is. And I think we should really, I would just encourage us to make sure that we talk to Little League, across the Mountaineer Football Club. I would actually think, I know there's a certain number of people that go to the Washington Premier League. I mean, there's a lot of ways to reach out to our community, to try to find out what they're doing and see what the response is back. I think even if you do that, I don't know how much really we're going to get. I think a real good way to get feedback from the community is to ask them to raise their taxes to go park. And if they go yes, you go, wee, and if they go no, you go, no parks. And then we can turn in face the sewer.
Gets the word out there very quickly.
I don't have a lot of experience in social media, so.
Now, we're about the same age.
Yeah, I agree with Kelly because, as a citizen here, I was some time, I never knew what was going on here. I know, right? I was a mom with 3 daughters, raising them and super busy working. And so I think it's one of those things where the regular, everyday old Joe doesn't actually know, but they do have opinions and they do. So, the only time you would really hear from me as a Bonney resident is I would certainly vote, and, let you guys know what I thought. So, I don't know, something to think about is how we're gonna put the word out there. Now, because I had also seen something in the 50-year packet, what was it, the 2016 development plan, and it had like a little blurb, like words on it, right? They had some kind of people. Yeah, I went and talked to people, and I'm like, I'm a state consultant. I didn't talk to that person. They didn't, none of the people in my community knew about that. And so it's like, who are we missing and why?
Probably this is a topic that is too much right for. Oh, and
Just to answer your question, Kelly, on a lot of the stuff, our Parks Commission, they were out at every concert in the park. They had a booth set up. They had pictures and poster boards, and they talked to everyone that walked by and tried to get their engagement. And there's upwards of probably 3,000 or 4,000 out there for that. So that was one way that got a lot of involvement.
Yeah, I don't discount that. I don't need to discount the efforts. I'm just saying, when you look at it, it's numbers, right? Bill and can express their opinion. Right? I think the best response you'll get is during presidential election. Right? When you put something on the ballot, we'll get 60% of our population that votes.
All right, well, let's move on to item F, which is discussing the city network. Oh, are we done with the
I mean, what are we doing with it?
Oh, I thought we were going to be tabling it.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
make sure we have some action.
Okay. Okay. All right, item F, Madam Clerk.
This is item F, which is for discussion only on city attorney.
All right, Mr. Vodovich.
As you know, our existing contractual, she will be leaving us probably about 4 or 5 more months. Now, I want to bring forward a discussion with city council as to which direction you may pursue, either, putting out RFP and going outside legal counsel again, or as there's his preference in-house city attorney.
Well, you still want under there.
You open the door.
That is true. And prior to opening up the discussion, study, if you will, and code enforcement. On that level, I think Bonney very much. They deserve a full-time city attorney to devote their time to holding counsel or violate issues that comes along with that. I think that in the long run, even though at first the numbers look like they might be a little more expensive than what we paid out at the beginning, but again, this goes to the arguments that we had over the last 3 or 4 weeks regarding what we would be able to contract now. I can tell you that with our current city attorney, bargaining based. So to attract anybody here as far as contractually, I would rather pay somebody full salary, full benefits, both of those full leads. And now I can open it over. Yes, Deputy Mayor Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm actually for bringing that. However, I guess money aspect of it. What were those dollars and cents? Because I recall when we did the budget the last, we done it, and the amounts for the city or for the attorney had gone way up, right? Much more than what we expected or budgeted for that. So what you're saying was a bargain basement price. So like which is it?
I believe the current rate is $2.50 an hour. I think we were $2.75 an hour, I believe.
It went from 275 down to 250. And actually, the bonus to that is that costs such as transportation, anything along those lines, flat to 250. Yes,
At one point when we transitioned, we were doing a flat rate and we switched to an hourly.
Correct.
So apples to apples wise, what was the flat rate, like 6,500? And then we switched to the hourly because we weren't using up the capacity.
So in 2014, that was a flat rate of 11,630. And that equated to 75 hours of service for billable hours. What we discovered is that we weren't fully utilizing that full 75 hours a month total time with the attorney, so we went to an hour by hour rate in March of 20 down to the 250.
And how many hours are we being billed for roughly?
How many workers? Well, the full time employee would be what?
120.
So in 2021, we were billed for 27.29 hours per month. 2020, it was 37.48, up to a high of 42.6. So 30 to 45 a month.
Full time, yeah.
Yep.
Full time person would be a lot more.
Yes. And what such as voting times, you local bar study. Probably very much need a lot of.
Well, that, you know, kind of, working on getting an emergency. It's certainly, the city's going to be grouping it.
Of course, you know, I tend to not fully understand, what, if we have an attorney today, a city attorney, 30 hours or whatever. I'm not sure what they're doing, you know, there's a lot of extra stuff, of course, obviously, they're gonna be doing activities. The city attorney, you know, and as long as I've been here, we have often had to use it. Yeah, they would negotiate. Party attorneys. So those are always going to be there. It's just that, you know, so you're not only are your proposal is to have go to a full-time attorney, then you still are always going to have to go out to a specialty. You don't want that.
Well, the only other argument I think about that, fact that because of the fact that had contracted city attorney at the time, that's why we had two other attorneys. So it's kind of a part for a horse. When it comes to we had an full-time city attorney that we could devote these issues, and it would be on a case-by-case scenario. But yes, have that full-time bundle and get that advice as to whether we do need time.
Yeah, right. I just was kind of making the point that, you know, it's a lot more than just a full-time attorney, because I don't think you'd be in a situation where you, right now, you know, we don't have to go to Kathleen for everything. You know, literally she could say, oh, well, I'm gonna spend an hour on that, but then, you know, hire this other person to do these extra hours. You're talking about more going from what we pay today for the attorney service, talking about the full-time person, and then you're gonna have to deal with, besides, you know, having to pay for those extra services for those specialties. We're gonna have that, but today we can displace our regular attorneys' fees of that. You can have, you know, vacations and leaves. That's. I'd be really interested to know what is out there today for either RP or you know, what are most cities doing in that arena? That's the practical part of the just the monetary portion of the argument. And then the other side of the argument is hopefully the council doesn't believe it works for the council. Okay? Seriously works for it, and like mayor.
Oh, I see.
You are the executive.
We have no attorney.
Yeah.
You are the executive. Well, this is going to tell us what you want us, what the direction is. It's highly unlikely that the mayor is have staff around that's not going to be next to mayor's line. It works. So don't any other council members think, because my experience tells me that when you go to a city staff member, that they're going to tell you exactly the truth, what the deal is. You know, they're not going to worry around that. They're professionals and they know their jobs. They're also not going to be independent, and I don't be thinking you're hiring somebody that you can go to FM, RSC, and other resources. Council is what we go to. One time, you get a little more independent advice.
That is an interesting issue. Probably the only comment I can have on that is the fact that a city attorney lead would be fiduciary. Can't say that word at 8 o'clock at night, but there's a fiduciary duty that that the attorney would have to the city itself, not to me personally. And there is the Supreme Court, you know, has the bar that actually would be disciplined if they were caught doing anything that is my personal interest versus. And unlike Mr. Bobbitt, who does everything personally.
Councilmember Watson. Thank you. Kathleen is asset. Knowledgeable of what's going on. An attorney would not. Policies are encountering and what she decision for us, even though a full-time attorney for us, to see all that. She's working with it from city to city. I don't see how a full-time attorney would benefit us. That was part of what we did with Kathleen. I mean, it's like going to a certain attorney for certain things. I mean, that's what she does. That's what she's an expert at.
Well, and with the questions that I'm getting at, I believe this conversation that we're having would be, we're putting her on another table right now, put her on the, so you can get that kind of data from Ms. Taggart herself. Oh, Councilmember Lyons.
Yeah, so first, I'd be curious, before we make this decision, billable hours, like the last 4 years.
But taking COVID out of the equation, I will point that out, that COVID has been an issue that is.
Yeah.
So.
And I think we have a lot of good industry data that tells us, you know, so I'm thinking in the last 4 years, hours and bill number is I'm looking for that 2,000 hour mark, and we have. Okay. That's what I'm kind of curious about. The other thing that I like from that from Mr. Thompson was talking about that, and 20 section 2.8.40, the office of the city attorney. The office of the city attorney shall be the legal advisor to the mayor and the council and all the officers, commissions, in the city. And in section B, that's section A, and in section B says we can hire our own attorney who don't like the one in the mayor's.
Like I'm have to. Their counsel when it works.
Yeah, so, you know, I think legal counsel is like super important. Last thing I'd like to say is, an attorney with not enough to do is here.
Well, I can assure you, Councilmember Klein, this city attorney, plenty to do. All right. Oh, yes. Okay, we can agree. How about we start? First.
That's what I was gonna say. Well, yeah, they're gonna know how to deal with our city, our staff, and be able to advise for our specifics. And I think any attorney is going to go and know what's going on in Washington. So if we have a code that is kind of out there, they can be like, that's not what it's like for the rest of the. But I think it would be beneficial to have somebody that is just for us and they could advise us if we're making, a mistake, if we're doing an ordinance that shouldn't be in place.
Well, and that directly addresses the Councilman Baldwin's. All right, Councilmember.
Well, the one thing no one's asking is what is the gap? What is our, I mean, if it's 140 versus 30 hours, that's 90 grand. So, so we have a 3/4 week person, or we have a full-time person with a difference of 45, 50,000. That plays in. I think it's probably 130 or 160 range somewhere there.
Probably with now that would be the correct salary.
Yeah.
Figure, again, my intention is hire on staff lawyer that works.
Well, I'm not saying I'm for it. I'm still a contract guy, but
this is my tell you why you can't do what everyone wants to do. Direction. Doing that for 20 years. I know. Tell them what I'm saying. And you know, the mayor is exactly right, obviously, and I was just want to say, they do protect the city, but that ordinance, they're not going to do, obviously. They're still, they don't have a paycheck. Right, so, it's broken mayor's direction. So you're not going to get some kind of remedies. They just literally don't, there's been some ultra high end type past walked up to and they were changed directions. They're not our advisors, in my opinion.
David Mayor, sorry.
No, I think these are good, good. That's kind of. Initially, I'm like, hey, a lot of things.
Okay, well, Ms. Haggard, I can say openly that she's allowing us to have her. And how long ago was that? So we have about 5 months.
A month ago, maybe?
Yeah, about a month ago. This is an issue you could definitely table. If the council's in agreement.
We can find out.
Yeah, so we can
Absolutely.
So maybe just for clarification, what are we looking for? I heard billable hours by year.
Yeah.
Billable time when they would get paid per annually.
Yes.
As compared to what an in-house is.
Yeah, 4-year study, basically the past 4 years.
I know it's 8 o'clock, but you want those answers right now.
No. All right. Yeah, exactly. Now that we're to item F, I believe we are at the end of our agenda. That would happen now. All right, well, I'm declaring our meeting adjourned. Unless there's anything else